You're listening to the Red Eye Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Red Eye Hour. This is your host, J.Meeks, and welcome to another episode of the Solo Stories. Today, it's Solo Stories Part 9, The Secret About My Sister. So we will get right into this. I also want to say thank you for checking out the last video. Thank you for checking out all the videos. We have hit some milestones on our YouTube page, on our analytics. So a big round of applause for all of our subscribers and listeners. Keep hitting that subscribe button. Keep sharing with your friends. We really appreciate it here at the Red Eye Hour. And let's waste no more time and get right into the new story. I was on vacation and my grandpa wouldn't stop asking me if my sister was doing okay. I swear, every time I passed him in the house, he would say something along the lines of, "Walter, is Paulette feeling all right?" or something like that. It was getting pretty annoying, but I didn't want to be too harsh on him since he was starting to lose his memory. For the last 3 days, everyone in my family, which includes me, my mom, dad, sister, grandma, and grandpa, had spent our time in a ski resort. None of us had any prior experience, and even the beginner slopes had me falling on my face every time. Still, it was an enjoyable experience. I lived in Florida all my life, and I hadn't seen any snow. But my grandparents lived in Colorado, so my parents thought it'd be the perfect place for our winter vacation. After skiing, we returned to my grandparents' house in the mountains and spent a day relaxing. Before this, my grandpa had only asked about my sister once, but his rate of questioning quickly increased. I did ask him why he kept nagging, but he simply replied with, "Just wondering." He's such a weirdo, but I didn't remember him ever being like this. Of course, the last time I saw him, I was around 8 years old, which was 6 years ago, but I could still remember the time we spent together clearly. Things took an even stranger turn when my parents and grandparents decided to go to a bar in the nearby town. My grandpa didn't want to leave at first, but my father insisted. Just before they all headed out, my grandpa handed me a sheet of torn notebook paper that had a set of instructions on it, and for some reason, he took me down the hall so that nobody would see us. "Follow these instructions carefully," my grandpa said in a grave tone. "If something unexpected happens, call me immediately." Okay. At that, my grandpa joined the others and they drove off. I watched from the window, waving as the car's bright red taillights disappeared down the Umbro Road. Once they were out of sight, I went to the living room and took a seat on the painfully uncomfortable couch. Paulette, my little sister, was playing with green army men on the matted floors, making explosion noises and war noises. It was weird to see such a cute little girl with a shimmering bow on her head playing with military figures. But that seemed to be her favorite toy for some reason. "Die, die, die!" Paulette screamed as she slammed a plastic jet into a platoon of soldiers. Maybe it was concerning for a little kid to speak like that, but I left her be. After all, I didn't want to spoil her wholesome fun. Well, maybe wholesome might not be the best word to describe that. Despite how much Paulette seemed to be enjoying herself, her eyes were glazed and marbly. Anyway, I should probably read the paper now. Number 1. Make sure Paulette goes to bed before 9 p.m. and lock the door. Number 2. I placed a silver key on the counter. Take it and make sure it never leaves your sight. Number 3. Turn on every light in the entire house. Number 4. Don't go to sleep until I get back home. Number 5. Double check the past steps and be absolutely sure that you followed them correctly. Number 6. Don't hesitate to call me if you feel like you're in danger. Well, that was peculiar, to say the least, and a little creepy. As I read the instructions, I couldn't help but glance at Paulette. Was she getting punished for something? Even still, I don't understand why I had to lock her door and turn on every light in the house. The former seemed a little outrageous, and the latter seemed like a waste of electricity. Oh well, I'm sure my grandpa had a good reason. Maybe that's why he was asking about Paulette so much. Just so that I didn't forget, I went ahead and did the second and third instructions, turning on every light and putting that silver key in my pocket. Then I spent the remainder of the night watching some anime on my phone. Soon enough, it was 8:50 p.m. Time for bed, I told Paulette. Aw, but I want to play more. I don't know how she could entertain herself with green army men for hours, but she somehow found a way. Grandpa said that you had to go to bed before 9 p.m., I said. Let's go, now. Fine, Paulette said, pouting. I walked her up the stairs, and she went into the bathroom to brush her teeth. The dentist always commented on how sharp they were compared to the other girls her age. Once Paulette finished, I led her into her room, which was the first one in the hall. Mine was at the end. My sister then turned around with her arms out saying, "Can I get a goodnight hug?" Aren't you getting a little old for that? I want a hug. Fine. Paulette jumped at me and we stood in an embrace for a little while. Finally, she pulled away and got into her bed, bundling herself underneath the covers. As I closed the door, Paulette asked, "Are you gonna turn off the lights?" Oh yeah, I forgot. Just then I remembered the instructions to keep every light on. Sorry, Paulette, I said. Grandpa said that I can't turn it off. What? How am I supposed to sleep if it's so bright? Just put the blankets over your head or something. I'm sure you can manage. Man, this is cruel and unusual punishment. I shrugged. Grandpa said you have to keep it on. If that's the case, I'll turn it off myself. Paulette was about to go out of bed, but she couldn't find the light switch anywhere. Where is it? She asked. I won't tell. What? Like I said, you have to sleep with the lights on. Sorry. This sucks. Yeah. I don't know why I have to do this, but you'll just have to deal with it. The light switch to Paulette's room was on the outside next to the door frame. It was a pretty inconvenient design since people in the room would have to walk into the hall if they wanted to turn the lights off and on. Once Paulette settled down and went to bed, I shut the door, locking it from the outside by turning a mechanism in the knob. After that, I returned to the living room. I hate to wait until everybody gets back, so I might as well binge some more anime on my phone. Right as I took out my phone, it felt like something was missing from my pocket. The key. It was gone. Huh? I checked my pocket again. Then I checked my other pockets. I patted down my entire body, but the key was gone. I must have dropped it somewhere. And so I retraced my steps, scouring the house, but I couldn't find it anywhere on the first floor. The last place I hadn't looked was the second floor, so I went up the stairs. Once I reached the top, I froze in place. Paulette's door was hanging open, the silver key was lodged in the doorknob, and the room's light was off. A shiver ran down my spine. My mind told me to act naturally. There probably wasn't anything wrong. Even still, I couldn't stop the goosebumps from lining my skin. The light flickered behind me a few times before turning off. I quickly glanced back to see that the stairs and everything on the first floor were pitch dark. like a black void. Upon seeing that, I immediately averted my gaze and stayed facing forward toward the end of the hallway, which was still bathed in fluorescent lights. I found myself with a minimal space on the boundary of emptiness between safety and danger. Maybe it was naive of me to assume that I would be safe as long as I didn't look at the shadows behind me. But right now, I had to call my grandpa. Just as I took out my phone, something tapped me on my shoulder. I didn't even let out a single noise as I broke into a sprint, dashing straight into my room and slamming the door behind me. After turning the lock, I dragged all the furniture I could in order to blockade the entrance. Finally, I shut my window's blinds. For a few moments, I crouched completely still, catching my breath. No more color seeped through the door's cracks, meaning that someone had turned off the hallway lights. It was so quiet. I wanted something, anything, to make a noise, but I didn't know if that would even alleviate my anxiety. I prayed that my sister was just playing a prank on me. When I finally composed myself, I turned on my phone and I called my grandpa, who answered after a couple of seconds. "Is there anything wrong, Walter?" he asked. My sister, Slow down," my grandpa said. "Tell me exactly what happened." "I thought I had the keys with me," I whispered, but the next I knew it was gone. I think Paulette stole it when she hugged me because it wasn't in my pocket after I said goodnight to her. When I went back upstairs to search for the key, the door was open, the lights were off, and the key was in the doorknob. Before I knew what was happening, the lights behind me went off and something touched my shoulder. "Where are you right now?" "I'm in my room and I barricaded the entrance." "Did you close the blinds?" my grandpa asked. "Yes." "Are all the lights on?" "Of course they are. Tell me what's going on, for Christ's sakes." My grandpa paused. The eerie silence assaulted my ears. I would have expected someone or something to come banging on my door, but there was nothing. I could only glance left and right, making sure that nobody had somehow entered the room. "Grandpa?" I asked. "What's going on? What do I do now?" "I'm sorry," he replied. "What do you mean you're sorry?" "It's already too late." "Too late?" "She's probably already made it to the circuit breaker." As if on cue, everything went black. My phone screen could only illuminate a small radius around me. My heart pounded louder than a chainsaw, and my chest grew ragged from my breathing. I huddled up against the corner and cowered, facing my back to the rest of the room. "Grandpa, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" But I could only hear static on the other end. When I raised my head again, a breath tickled my neck. A lifeless voice muttered, "Don't worry, you're perfectly safe." So that is the end of Solo Stories Part 9, The Secret About My Sister. That's kind of a creepy one, guys. I want you to let me know what you think down in the comments. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share with your friends, let people know. I'll still be cranking out these videos every week or two. And I really enjoy sharing all these stories with you guys. If you have any good stories that you'd like me to tell, let me know. Reach out to me, send me a direct message, anything like that. But thanks again, guys. This has been the Red Eye Hour, and this has been Solo Stories, Part 9, The Secret About My Sister. And we will see you guys soon on the next episode. Goodbye for now. See you later.
Thanks for flying with the Red Eye Hour.